Alright guys, so I ran into a little bad luck a couple days ago. I was going to work in the morning. It was dark, about 5 o'clock in the morning, and there was a complete wheel and tire right in the middle of the highway. And there was a car next to me on the right. I was up against the barrier that separates the eastbound and westbound lanes from each other. It's a concrete barrier about 3 feet tall. So I couldn't go anywhere, so I hit this wheel and tire that was out in the middle of the street, and it blew my tire out and damaged my wheel. Now, you can see where this wheel has been repaired now. Got a real nice TIG weld on the inside, not too bad right there, and then they've hand grinded it out. Now, this had a crack in it right here. Of course, this lip was bent. I actually have a picture of it, and I'll put that picture up. But it had a crack right here, and I didn't even know that any damage had taken place until about 2 or 3 miles down the road, and then I noticed that the tire had become completely flat. And so I changed the tire. Didn't even realize the wheel was damaged yet, because the only thing I was looking at was this front face right here, and it all looks perfect. So it wasn't until later that day, when I got to looking at the back side, I noticed the wheel was damaged. So now I had to figure out how to get the wheel repaired. There's a company here in Dallas that does wheel repair. They guarantee their work. So that was about a $100 fix right there. Almost makes me want to get me a TIG welder. And the only good thing about it is this particular TPMS sensor is bad. Now, even with the wheel sitting where it's sitting, let me get to my sensors here. You can see, and I've been driving around like this for quite a while. Let me shut that up. But you can see that left rear wheel tire pressure is not reading, and that's been like that for a long time. I've had a TPMS sensor, but it's just a matter of getting up to the tire shop and having them bust the tire down and install the new TPMS sensor. So luckily, the only good thing about this whole ordeal is that it was the driver's rear tire that blew out, because that's the one that the sensor is bad in. So what we're going to do is program this new sensor I've got the Autel. This is the TPMS version. This is the MS906TS, and I've got me a new TPMS sensor. I'm going to go ahead and program it before I even install it to make sure that everything's good. Of course, it's going to read 0 PSI, and as long as everything's good, then I'm going to go ahead and swap out this sensor. And I managed to find, so I was getting ready to put new tires on. So well, that tire's the spare, which is brand new, never been driven on. These tires aren't in too bad a shape. I mean, they're probably maybe 50% worn, maybe a little bit more, maybe 60%. So I was getting ready to just replace the whole set, and I thought, you know, let me look on Facebook Marketplace just to see if I can find the exact tire for, you know, a reasonable cost. And sure enough, I found a guy that had one tire, had it for a good price. I bought it. So I'm going to get out of this relatively cheap, and that's going to buy me a little bit of time to keep my eye open for and try to make up my mind on exactly what size tire I want to go to. I think I want to go to like one more inch taller. These are supposed to be about 33-inch tall tires according to the tire calculator online. This tire size is a 275/60 R20, and that's supposed to calculate to 33 inches, but whenever I actually put a tape measure on it, it's measuring closer to about 31.5. When they were new, they were 32, but now they're down to about 31.5 because they've lost about a 1/4 inch of tread. So this is going to buy me a little bit of time to figure out if I want to go to like an actual 33-inch tall tire, or stick with these and maybe find a sale within the next 6 months to a year, however long I've got on the other tires. Anyway, back to this. we're going to get into the TPMS part of this Autel. I'll show you how easy this actually is, and hopefully you're going to be able to see this. I know there's a lot of glare. We're out here in the daylight. So I'm going to do auto vend. Did I leave the key on? I don't even know if I left the key on. About to find out. If it doesn't detect it, that means the key wasn't on. There we go. Alright, sorry about that. I had to shut the camera off because I was having a little difficulty getting into this deal, but it finally took it. So basically all I need to do is walk around the truck right now. You can see that we're here at the left front. And trigger the left front. Just going to hit the button. Okay. And I'll show you the information that it says. I'm going to hit trigger again. Trigger again. Nope, I missed trigger. Now on this one, I'm just going to take the sensor and put it right there in close proximity. And when I hit trigger, it should get a buzz. Now let me show you the information that it gives you. You can see that it's got the PSI. Of course, the left rear is red as it shows 0. It shows the temperature. Of course, the one that I've got here on the tailgate has not been driven on. The ones in the tires, I just pulled up in my driveway, so they're hotter than the one on the tailgate. And battery life, all are saying okay. So now for programming, we're gonna, up here you got programming and you got relearn. And we're just going to relearn. We got to go around and relearn the sensors that we've got listed here. So we're just going to hit relearn. I'm going to do OBD relearn. Communicating with vehicle, please wait. Front left tire and activate TPMS sensor. Should get a honk, and you always start with the driver's front. Okay, I'm going to go to this one. I'm going to hit OK on the tool. That was the passenger front. We're at the passenger rear. I'm going to hit OK. Now we're at rear left. I'm going to hold it right here. Hit OK. Now we should hear two beeps, and now it's programmed to the truck. In fact, we should be able to go over here and look at the information center. And as you can see, it is now showing us to add some air to that rear left. We're going to dismiss it. Now we've got all 4 sensors reading. Of course, the rear left is showing 0. So now that I know that that sensor is going to work, to replace this, well, let me get the camera set up and I'll show you how easy it is to replace these. Of course, the tire's already off the wheel. If the tire was on the wheel, I'd have to take it in and have them break it down, and they'd replace it, put the tire back on. And normally what they do, if all you need is to replace the TPMS sensor, is they break the tire off just the front face, and then they reach in and replace it, and then they air the tire back up and balance it. But I'm going to clamp the camera on here. You don't have to pull, as long as your valve stem, which is this part here, as long as that's good. Now this sensor is only about a year old, so the valve stem is practically new. I'm going to take this is a T10, I believe. Yeah, T10 Torx. Going to unscrew the old one, then I'm going to unscrew the new one from its valve stem. And there you have it. And then of course you want to save your valve stem here just in case you ever need it. But that's what the valve stem looks like with the sensor itself off the vehicle. So now all I got to do is get up to the tire shop, have them mount the tire on the wheel and balance it, and then put it back on the truck, and we'll be good. Alright guys, just got back from the tire shop. They got the tire mounted and balanced. It only took 1 ounce of weight, so that's not too bad. We do have the left rear pressure reading. So you'll notice it's a little lower. That's because the 3 other tires, the both front and the right rear, I'd been driving on. You know, I was on the highway coming home from work, so you know, there's a lot more heat generated in those tires than what the one on the left rear is, because I've probably only driven about 4 or 5 miles from the tire shop back to the house on that tire. So that pressure is going to be a little different. So what I'm going to have to do is, once I drive it around enough with that tire on, that way the heat that's generated will be even in all 4 tires, and then I'll adjust that tire pressure as needed. Now, one other thing I want to say is, even though I use my Autel to program this sensor on this truck, you don't have to use a scan tool like that. I'll actually put in the link. I'll put a link in the description of the little activator that you can get for I think $10 is what they used to be. I don't know if they're still $10 or not. So you can use one of them. You're just not going to get the, you know, the nice display showing what the temperature of the sensor's reading and what the pressure is in the battery. You'll have to put the truck in Learn mode, and the way you do that is here at the tire pressure sensor. Sorry about that, guys. Someone was walking up in my driveway, so I had to shut the camera off to see what they wanted. Okay, so to get into the Relearn mode on these Silverados, at least on this model, this is a SLT. So if you've got the driver information display like what we've got on this one, you're going to take this button here while you're on your TPMS screen, your tire pressure sensor screen there. You're just going to push and hold the check mark button. And you should hear 2 honks of the horn. Okay, I want you to see about how long it's going to take. So I've got my finger here on the button. You can see the display. I'm going to push and hold. You heard the 2 honks, and it now says tire learning active. So at this point, you'd go around with that activator, and you'd start at the left front, and you'd go all the way around to the left rear. And each time you push the button on the activator, you should hear 1 honk of the horn, just like you did on the tool. So that's how easy that is. I'm going to go ahead and dismiss this because I don't want to change my, you know, since I've already programmed them. Anyway, that's pretty much it. We're done with this. You know, just an example of replacing the TPMS because of a blown out tire. A lot cheaper to get your own TPMS sensors than it is. I think Discount Tire, they charge $65 each for a TPMS sensor. So, you know, just to give you an idea, I bought an entire set, I think, for $45 or something like that. Anyway, we're done. You guys take care. We'll see you.